Hello snowboarders of the internet, I'm your host TC, and today I will be reviewing the Rossignol Sushi. This board is equipped with Rossignol's AmpTech Elite camber profile, so what that means is you're going to have camber in between your feet with a tiny bit of rocker on the tail here and a little bit larger rocker section right on the nose, pretty much right where that Rossi logo is. And what that's gonna do is that giant nose is gonna float really well, and you're still gonna get that power underfoot when you're trying to lay that edge in and hold. And then you're gonna have a little bit of rocker on the tail just to release from those turns, make it a little bit more maneuverable. This board comes in a 144 and a 145 wide. I rode this board at Copper Mountain where it was a sunny day. The night before we got about 3 inches of snow where they actually groomed the center of the runs and left everything else. So the trees and pretty much the side of the runs were all really good and fresh there. As you went to like the hike 2 terrain or that side country terrain, it definitely was deeper out there. But for the most part, fresh groomers all day, and then that nice fresh snow that, you know, gets beat up towards the end of the day, but it was all good. I used my Ride Fuse boots and Jones Mercury bindings. This board is definitely gonna have a directional flex just because of, I mean, look how directional it is. Where that nose is definitely gonna be softer, you have a longer rocker section in it, causing it to be actually pretty loose on just fresh groomers, or even when you're getting off the lift, you'll notice it just flapping around. As you get more towards the tail, it does stiffen up because of that shorter rocker section in the tail and how actually short it is. It does feel a little bit stiffer, a little bit more precise and controlled. And then pretty much in the torsional flex, it is gonna be a little bit softer than the middle of the road, I would say, where it's not gonna put up a fight or anything like that. You can just gas pedal that back foot and it'll twist for you. Now, when we translate that into stability, as I mentioned before, that nose does want to wander quite a bit on the groomers. Now, when you get it into fresh snow, it actually holds a little bit better rigidity there and doesn't like fold on you or anything like that. It feels pretty stable. This board really isn't made to ollie or anything like that. As you can tell, there really isn't anything back here. So when you go to load it up, you're pretty much just loading up your back foot, where this doesn't return a lot of snap to it or anything like that. All of your power is coming off of your back foot. Now, that being said, as high as you can jump is pretty much as high as you're gonna be able to ollie on it. It didn't feel crazy like washy or anything like that when you do go to set the edge to pop, but just keep in mind you're not going over any slow signs or anything like that with it. When you're landing, it felt pretty good. I would say in that fresh snow, if you go to pop and ollie, just make sure that you go bolts on it. If you go a little too back foot, it might wash out on you. Just know that this giant nose section is gonna help you with some landing gear there. If you're enjoying this video, make sure you like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of the programming we have coming out. On this board, there's really pretty much only one place to butter, and that's gonna be on the nose. Like, if you look at the tail, it's so short, it really doesn't flex all that much, so buttering it, you're pretty much just standing there with your back foot down and you're just raising the nose up there. Now, when you do get to that nose to butter on, it is a huge surface to work with, super fun, especially in the POW. I was pretty much at a dead stop, flipped it around, did a 180 nose butter on it, and it just held and just kept going. So you have a huge zone to work with here where that whole nose almost becomes a sweet spot. When you butter it on groomers, it does feel a little bit looser and kind of just wants to go back to just riding regular, but it definitely excels on those POW butters. Carving. On fresh groomers and just fresh POW, I would say, this board carves pretty well, where you can really stand on that back foot, engage that edge, and it'll hold for you. Now, once you get into that more choppy situation, or that choppy snow, it's not gonna do as well. That nose is gonna be bouncing around. You're gonna feel like it almost has a mind of its own. Now, when you're doing those short, quick carves in the trees or just in any fresh powder, it becomes super agile and easy to maneuver, where you have such a short tail on this, where your back foot is just right there, that you can just kind of kick it around and not have to worry about smoking a tree or anything like that. You can just wiggle right through. When you get to those medium carves, it is gonna be pretty smooth and cruisy. It's definitely got a top speed on it, so don't try to break any land speed records or anything like that, but it feels pretty good on that fresh. When you get to the larger carves and the Euro carves, again, keep it on the fresh stuff and it's gonna hold up fine. If you try to do it through that chop and chunder, you're gonna get bounced around a little bit. You won't have a problem with your toes or heels digging in just because of how wide this board actually is, but it's just not gonna be the most stable thing when it comes to those larger carves through chop and chunder. Rider in mind. The person this board is designed for is they're a tree hunter and they're searching for that low angle pow. They're not really gonna go out there try to go super fast or anything like that. And I'm gonna say it, they definitely have a quiver where they're just adding to it with this board. This isn't gonna be their daily driver, and they're probably not gonna rip park in it unless you're the Rossi rep, or he does that because he's kind of crazy. But yeah, that main rider, they're just gonna go out there and rip pow in those tight trees. If you want to support us further, head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. I could explain it here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. Personal thoughts. This board reminded me of the K2 Cool Bean so much. That used to be my daily driver, and it honestly felt very similar to it, where it's fun to just slash around on, kind of get a little surfy on. Felt a little bit loose, but overall, it's still a really fun board for what it's designed for, and it does it really well. Comparable boards: the Rome Service Dog, the Ride Psychocandy, and the Jones Storm Chaser. Recommended bindings: the Union Strata, the Jones Meteorite, and the Salomon Hologram. This has been my review of the Rossignol Sushi. If this board doesn't sound like it's for you, make sure to go check out one of the reviews in our giant catalog, and I'm sure we have something for you.